Hey everyone, Anthony Fantano here, internet's busiest music nerd. I hope you are doing well. And today we are embarking on an exclusive interview and conversation. This is, for me personally, a bit of a bucket list interview and conversation. I've been dying to speak to this Philly rapper, songwriter, singer, auteur, visual artist, fashion pioneer. I'm trying to think of all the things that I could possibly say. Miss
Wow.
Tierra Whack, brand new record, Worldwide Whack, is dropping this weekend. We're going to talk about that and anything else that comes up in the conversation. Tierra, thank you for coming through.
Thank you for having me. I've been waiting on this moment.
I didn't. I didn't know you'd be wearing red, by the way. I'm not like I didn't purposely try
It's
to
all
try
good.
to
It's
match
all
with you.
good.
I did.
No, we look good together, right?
Yeah,
Don't you think?
we're matching by accident. It's like a
Yeah,
similar mind wavelength thing,
it's all
possibly.
good.
Yeah. Okay.
It's all
Cool. All right. Worldwide Whack. The record is really just a day away from coming out. Do you have any pre-release, any sophomore album jitters kind of flowing through your bones right now?
Yes, I do. My schedule is busy, like I'm booked, and it's a blessing, but it's just taking one step at a time and trying to really, I would say, just enjoy it all. The process.
Going into this LP, even with the singles, I really had no idea what to expect from you stylistically, sonically, anything, especially given like your last batch of releases on the somewhat larger side was like that series of EPs where you kind of dabbled in a bunch of different genres, like across each one.
Right.
How much of that was intentional in terms of like just kind of keeping fans on their toes and keeping them guessing as to what you're going to do next?
It's all intentional. I just think that it's important to always remind everyone of like, yo, as much as everyone wants like a pattern, there's no pattern.
Hmm.
It's never gonna be a pattern. Every day I wake up, I don't, it's not like guaranteed that I'm gonna have a good day. You just never know. So life is a roller coaster, and I try to implement that into my music and my art and just my lifestyle. Like in my everyday, just, I want to say, yeah, it's just I always go back to because I get like jumbled with words, and I'm just like expect the unexpected, guys. Like I'm never going to do. You think soon as you think you got me, you don't. I'm a wild card. I've always been, and I always will be.
Are there moments when making this record especially with it being your second album, where you found yourself maybe second guessing yourself, thinking that maybe I'm veering too far outside of the norm or expectations, or does that
Yeah.
when you sense that, do you drive toward that direction?
I'm just looking to be my most honest self.
Mm.
That's all I'm looking for. Music is therapy for me. So when I'm going to the studio, I'm 9 times out of 10 going to talk about whatever I went through that day, or throughout the week, or the things that I'm just going to be honest. That's all. Honesty is key. That is law. Always be honest.
How does that play into, from what I understand, I guess the concept or angle you're taking with this record, where on some level you're also sort of like indulging in the idea of playing into a character?
Well, Worldwide Whack is a character, like you said, that I created. And I think it just represents the face that the performer must wear while still showing up for millions. So it's like a mix of between sadness and joy, and just the struggle of being a public figure and having the pressures weigh in on you. And it's like you're still supposed to be, you're still supposed to show up and be this, you know, perfect person, perfect image, to the world. So it just goes back and forth between just trying to find the balance of, I don't want to say, I think life is simply about finding the balance, in anything and everything. So okay, Whack World, my first project, I'm like, okay, I'm coming out. I want to give people a taste of all that I can do. And then I do that, and then it's like, all right, they're like, all right, yeah, we still it's like people accepted it, but they didn't really understand like the meaning of why, you know, a person like me, where I come from, like like why is she doing this? Like it's like, but it doesn't have to be a why, it's just who I am. So yeah, with Worldwide Whack, I want people to just be mindful of just how much, responsibility and pressure it is to be. People want you to be yourself, and then when you are yourself, they're like, no, don't do it that way. You get what I mean? So yeah, it was a struggle when I, first came about, because I'm just doing what's natural and normal to me. And everybody's like, yeah, it's cool, but now they're like pressuring me to do things based off of their analysis of how they see me. When truly it's just like, hey, like that's not what it is. It's hard to articulate. And that's why I do it best in music. It's hard. I don't know. I'm not a good, like, I can't really articulate the words and like how I don't know how to explain it, but
No, I appreciate.
yeah,
No, I
yeah.
totally
I'm
appreciate
sorry. I'm
that.
sorry. I'm
No, no,
like,
no, no,
yeah,
no. I
but
totally appreciate that.
it's yeah, it's tricky.
Well, would
It's
you say
tricky.
this pressure that you're talking about, is it more of an industry-based pressure, or is it more pressure that you see from the audience in terms of like the reception to your music?
I think it's both. I think it's both. I think people expect me to be one way. Like, okay, yeah, they see me as like happy and but
Right.
underneath that, I go through things like everyone else,
Right.
you know? So I'm not always going to be happy. No person is always happy.
Yeah, I mean, talking about the way that you're zigging when other people expect you to zag, having previewed the album myself, going into it, did you expect kind of the tone of the overall direction of the album to be as dark as it is, or did it just kind of like end up that way as just kind of a
It
means
just
of just
ended up that
creating?
way.
Yeah.
It ended up that way. Every day I'm going to the studio and I'm trying to get something good. And I don't know what good really is, but I just want to feel a relief by the time I'm leaving the studio. And I think I signed up for something and I didn't read the contract. Like I just signed my name, like, oh yeah, this is what I'm going to do. And I didn't read the fine details of like, okay, this is what comes with being a public figure. Um, Me just being a creative, I just wanted to be that. I didn't know that it came with so much, I'm being pulled in every way when, hey, I just want to go hang out with my friends or maybe just go paint a picture and, I just want to sit and chill in the house and watch a movie. No, like it's a job. I didn't know that this job, this thing, I didn't know that my craft would become such like, it became stressful. I became very stressed because I was being pulled every way and all I wanted to do was have fun. So that drove me into depression. And for 6 years, everybody's asking me, Wack, what are you doing? When are you going to drop? And I'm like, guys, like I'm still trying to figure this all out. It's so much. Um, I didn't know at first, but I was crashing. I was crashing and burning.
I mean, it sounds like the experience kind of like, I think about a track like 27 Club, for example. It's like, obviously you're coming to this revelation that you personally identify with this thing that maybe prior you only sort of heard about as kind of like, a myth of how people who are public figures kind of feel or how they end up in that place,
Yeah. And I was going to say, like, I idolized all these people coming up when I was a kid. And I remember watching the Jimi Hendrix documentary and then, Amy Winehouse and Kurt Cobain. And I thought all of these artists I still think they're amazing, but I just didn't understand like what happened, like I didn't understand at a young age. And as I got older and I got in these positions, I was like, you know what? I think I know what it was, what it is. And I was in a dark place. Like Anthony, I was literally ready to end it all. And I just so happened to be 27.
And I mean, where do you feel like in terms of your balance with those feelings are right now? Have you been able to kind of dig yourself out of that abyss?
Yes, I've been able to dig myself out. Yes, I'm in a way better space than I was before.
And what would you attribute that to?
I think just having my family around, my mom, going to therapy, getting closer to God, just really believing that, you know, I belong here. For so long, I felt like it's crazy how you work so hard. You have this dream and you work so hard to achieve this dream. And then you get the dream and you're like, oh, I don't know. And then you're like taking steps backwards. And it's like your mind, it plays tricks on you.
Hmm.
And I became so insecure and just afraid and having these cameras on me all the time. It was so much. And it still is a lot. I'm still figuring it out to this day. But now I kind of flipped it to where it's like, you know what? I just always remind myself of when I was a little girl and how bad I wanted to be on TV. I wanted to, be a performer. I wanted to do everything. What changed in that time?
Hmm.
I just think I didn't read, like I said, I didn't read the fine details, I didn't read the fine details.
Has
It blew me back. Yeah.
has being your position, getting sort of endorsements and cosigns from artists who you've looked up to for years, or finding yourself in places where you're shoulder to shoulder with artists who have also kind of like forged a path in music through their eccentricity, be that like Tizo Touchdown or like Janelle Monáe or something like that. Has, being in proximity to those people allowed you to maybe feel a little less lonely in that process, or does it really not sort of factor in terms of like, your ability to kind of like stay grounded and down to earth in the midst of all of this pressure and all of this attention?
I can't say because it's my personal like feeling. So I
Right.
can't really, like I can look at other people's lives, but it's about me. Like I had to do the self work. I had to, you know, build my self esteem up. I just became so broken and I didn't love myself and I just felt like I didn't belong. So yeah, it's just work that I had to do on myself. That's it. And I had to just take my baby steps and just one day at a time, figure it out.
What do you feel about the overall, I guess, kind of aesthetics of the record? Because I think one thing, or what you maybe would like to speak to in terms of that, because I think one thing that may sort of like, be shocking to people or might be worth something kind of like diving into is the fact that, yes, a lot of the songs on the record reference depression and reference loneliness and reference like, you being in these really dark places. But I feel like a lot of those almost like cartoony, animated, almost you could say sort of like playful type sounds that people remember from Whack World also carry over onto this album in a lot of respects.
Yeah.
And it's like you're kind of using those same aesthetics that people might have associated with the fun of the last record, but now they're sort of being used to orchestrate this incredibly dark place that you're in on this new record. And, was that a conscious decision to sort of like make things kind of consistent, have that kind of contrast and that clash be there?
Yeah, I think just personal things I was going through early on before I even released Black World, like just all the trauma, I think everything just kind of came down on me when I least expected it. Like how you sweep things under the rug and you just keep doing it, and then one day, like it's like you like, all right, you can't keep like the rug. You got to pick the rug up and you got to really like just really clean and go through every single piece and figure out like why you've been avoiding this whole time. So yeah, I just was sweeping stuff under the rug and then still just trying to push through, trying to push through without actually dealing with the problem.
Hmm.
I don't. I'm growing more and more every day as a person, as an artist, as a daughter, as a friend. And coming from where I come from, Philly, like you're supposed to just be so tough all the time. You're supposed to like, yo, you got it. You'll figure it out. And it's not that though. You can't avoid your feelings. So with Whack World, I think I was just giving crumbs, like, oh, let me say a little bit about that. But with Worldwide Whack, it's like, nah, I'm not holding back. Like, let me tell people exactly what it is. Like, I can't hold back anymore. 100,000% myself. Like, I can't hold back anymore because I'm going crazy. I went crazy.
Was was the process of making and writing this album a lonely one? Because there are a lot of references to either being in an isolated place or pushing people away even.
Yes, I had to be alone with my thoughts. I had to face I had to face myself. And then when so most of us, when we have stuff going on, like we use work to, you know, avoid dealing with the problem. And that's what I was doing. I was so busy. I was being pulled every way. And like my team, I know like they would say little things to me, but it was up to me to really like sit down and say like, yo, what's going on with you? Why are you sad all the time? What is this? Yeah.
Does that sort of, create extra obstacles that maybe you wouldn't have had otherwise vis-a-vis the creative process? Because I imagine like having to kind of string and conceptualize and kind of imagine a lot of what you're going through just completely on your own, or was kind of the little creative process of the music a bit more collaborative, than maybe the places you were in personally when you were writing these songs?
I'm grateful for everything that I've ever went through because it made me who I am today. And I'm proud to be who I am. I was just listening to a Jadakiss song. He said, it ain't killed me yet, so it's making me stronger, Like, I feel like everything that happened was supposed to happen. I do truly believe that. But we have to be willing to learn from every mistake, every experience, and put that work in to become the best version of ourselves. So that being said, connecting that back to the music, every day I'm facing all these fears that I have, and I'm looking death right in the face, and I'm losing some people I love. There's so many things going on, but when I go to the studio, it's like, yo, this is all I have to talk about. My truth, the things that I've been thinking, the things that I've been feeling, that even it's not even always just me. It's, people close to me. I see them suffering, or they, their experiences, like I'm a sponge. So, whatever setting I'm in, what I absorb, I just absorb everything. I feel everything.
Yeah, I'm just trying to it's very dense. It's a very sort of like, again, like emotionally impactful record. And like you said, like you didn't really hold back in terms of like really kind of like letting people
Not at all.
in,
It was hard. It was hard for a long time when I would like go outside and people would be like, yo, Whack, what's up? Where you at? And they don't know, like, they didn't know that I was really thinking about not being alive anymore, It's like, so I'm just like, yeah, I'm working on it. And they're just like, yo, they're just pouring onto me. And I'm like, yo, like, it was just so, I was biting my tongue for so long. And I couldn't do it anymore. Like, I had to let everyone know. I had to release.
Another thing that I'm kind of wondering about is with the release of 27 Club and also on top of it, when people hear Tonight, I think, obviously that track like sets up for that song in such a big way. Obviously 27 Club spells a lot of those feelings out already, but like when people hear that 1-2 punch, considering, the sort of difficulties that there have been with sort of like getting audiences to like understand you and get where you're like coming from. Have there been any sort of like maybe parasocial type responses to those tracks that, maybe left you in a place where you feel kind of like weirded out or uncomfortable? Do people get like worried hearing songs like that from you, like concerned in a way where they're like, starting to, worry about you or look at you in a different way, given that you've kind of expressed the feelings that you have?
I'm not sure. I haven't experienced anybody looking at me differently. I'm not ashamed of, because like I said, it's my truth. I can never be ashamed of my truth.
Of course.
So I haven't experienced anybody treating me differently. I will say that I know most of the project is dark,
Yeah.
But I am in a better place now. With that being said, I was able to reach out to my good friend, Alex DeCorte, and I sent him the whole project. And I'm like, tell me what you think about this. And he's like, Whack, this is amazing. So I'm like, all right, cool. Let's do something. So we get together and we brainstorm, we storyboard, and we pick our favorite 3 songs. And then that's when we form the trilogy. So we have morning, noon, and night. So to be shower song, which would be morning. So getting ready for the day, whatever. And then we have 27 Club, where you see the World Wide Web character. I'm basically facing just the battles of being that, I keep saying, public figure that is being cheered on, but also pulled down at the same time. It's crazy how it works. Like I told you, when I'm walking around and I'm seeing people, just out in public, and I'm like, hey, Whack, Whack, Whack. This is before, I released anything. It was just kind of quiet for me for a while. They're like, hey, Whack, yo, I love you so much and all this. And I'm like, thank you, thank you, thank you. Like, but when are you gonna drop? You gotta drop. And it's like, it feels like a job. I'm not ready yet. But I'm not saying that to them. I'm just like, oh, it's coming, it's coming. Whole time, I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna make it to the next day, Like, I was suicidal. I didn't feel like I belonged anymore, So with that being said, Alex was able to really connect, and he is a person that has stood up and he's like, no, like, Whack, I see this, I understand. And like we had like talks and just about everything. Even him, like Alex he's so amazing. Just I always tell him, like, I wish that I chose to take the route that he took. He doesn't really show himself and show his face, but like, if you know, like, he's so grand, he's so great. He's just an amazing conceptual artist. And he's Philly based too, which I love. I love to keep it Philly based. It's just, I wouldn't be who I am without Philly. So, we got together and we made this trilogy, and, there's so many Philly references, from the Good and Plenty, Wawa, the first Black woman to appear on a cereal box, D-Tide, like I've traveled a lot of places and I met a lot of people, but coming back home always feels the most safe for me. So let's take it back to like COVID, right? I literally, the whole world was on lockdown. And I was in my apartment alone by myself for months, like just alone. And I was so uncomfortable. I'm like trying to figure this out. Like, yo, like that's when the darkness, the cloud really hit me. Like, it's like, yo, like, why do I feel this way? Like, what is going on? I had no choice but to just address my feelings, the feelings that I've been feeling for a while, but I was avoiding because I was just, trying to stay busy and, yeah. I'm sorry. It's a really emotional, like, this is a journey. Like, I knew that it would be a lot, but talking about it, it kind of it still triggers me, like it's touchy.
Yeah, no, they're really intense feelings
touchy.
throughout the
Yeah,
record.
it's
So, I mean,
so yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just,
no, I mean, I appreciate that you're being as open with talking about them as you are.
yeah, yeah.
Like, as far as, let me know if like this is similarly your experience, but like, I think also of some of those artists you were kind of referencing, or, obviously kind of define something like the 27 Club, who through their music, or even more recent examples like Danny Brown, for example, have made records like where they're very like clearly putting a message in their music where I'm kind of creating a cry for help. I'm telling people I'm not well. I'm telling people things are hard, but they're like not getting it. They're just like, oh, this bangs. It's like sort of the response.
27 Club is a club banger. Like, that's what I've been joking around saying. Like, yo, what are you guys talking about?
Exactly. So it's like, are you having a similar experience in terms of like the reception? Is the message not landing with some people? Is it just sounding good to some and kind of flying over their heads in terms of like what you're trying to communicate?
Yeah, like I said, it's really, I really find it hard to articulate myself. That's why I don't like public speaking. I don't care for interviews. I'm being all the way just like
which is why I appreciate you doing this, and partially why I was shocked when your team reached out. I've asked before, but like I know you don't do this sort of thing often, and I was like, okay, like killer.
But it's just part of the reason I started writing was because I'm not good at speaking, like I'd rather just go write it down. and then that's when I started to record and sing it and rap it. But it's just hard because my mind is always just moving. My brain is racing and I have so many things I want to say, but it just takes time. It takes time. And in a lot of ways, I still do feel misunderstood. But I'm just trying to figure it out every day.
From this point, do you feel like you're prepared to kind of like pick up the pieces and kind of move on to another kind of, I guess like emotional journey? Do you feel like you're still dealing with things that may result in you taking a long time to sort of get to the next record, the next project, the next feature, the next whatever?
Yeah, I think right now it's just growing pains because I was dealing with everything uh, in private for so long, and now I'm telling everybody what I was dealing with in the public, but it's just not like it's connecting, then it's not, then it's connecting, but like I'm just giving it all to the world. Like I'm not ashamed of anything that I went through, anything that I felt, but here we are again, and I'm like, wow, like I have moments where I'm just like, damn, I'm really doing this. I'm saying this. I'm giving everybody everything. Yeah, every day it changes for me.
Yeah, I mean, it sort of just makes me reflect on the fact that like I feel like these days, and I don't know how you feel specifically about this as a fan of hip hop and somebody who's made hip hop music, but it seems like there's at least a bit more acceptance across the board in terms of like mental health based narratives on tracks, on records, like, be it from either Megan Thee Stallion or whoever, bring up feelings of suicidal ideation. It sort of seems like it's not necessarily going to lead to people, being upset or being disappointed in you. But by that same token, it just sort of seems like the audience wants the candy. It's like they want that instant gratification,
Yeah.
like they just want kind of the quick fix.
Right.
And, I'm just sort of hoping that a record like this causes like a bit more kind of depth of reflection and in people who are listening. I think there is kind of like a phenomenon going on today where there is like through social media and the oversaturation of like music and the way music's been treated essentially like content, where there is kind of like a dehumanization of artists, and
Right.
people have like this object permanence thing where, the only time they can conceptualize you is when they see you on camera. And
Yeah.
anytime when you're not on camera and you're not feeling well or dealing with personal stuff, those moments just aren't real and they don't exist.
Right. Yeah. I'm sorry. I think I lost the question.
There wasn't even a question. It was really just like a
Okay.
response to
No, no,
how the album's making me sort of reflect, how the album's making me sort of reflect.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a lot, and I'm telling you, it's a lot.
No, it is. Like, I mean, obviously you won't really fully know until the album comes out and you sort of see the reception, you see how people receive it. But, do you think there is such a thing in your music and with your art is sort of like being too personal or letting people in too much?
Like I said, I don't regret that what I'm about to do, what I'm doing. Like,
Sure.
I just I wasn't able to. I still can't see like how this is going to affect me in the end. Like it feels like I'm happy. Like I'm so happy with everything. But talking about it over and over and over, it's like, oh, I don't know. It's giving me a weird feeling, and I can't really explain the feeling that I'm getting, but it's just like, I don't know. It's just strange. I can't give you anything else besides that. It's just strange.
No, it probably like just digs a lot of the feelings up all over again. I mean,
Yeah, that's what it is. That's what
for
it is.
you personally in the midst of all of this, like what, aside from maybe those things that you've been doing to sort of like put effort into your mental health and connecting with other people, like what are some things for you personally that have been kind of a refuge for you and have kind of allowed you to have some moments of like peace or release in the midst of all of this?
I go to the spa a lot. I like to get massages. just peace and quiet.
That can be essential.
Yeah, no, it really is. Like I really enjoy peace and quiet, and I love being alone still to this day. Um, yeah, just exercising. I go play basketball. That's like one of my favorite things to do. Um, what else do I like to do? I like to sleep. I love sleep is so good. Just give me a tall glass of sleep. Like
I'm really not getting enough, honestly.
yeah, never enough. Then we just lost the hour. So yeah,
No, it's true.
yeah.
You know
But
what?
yeah,
As far as like being alone in isolation, because obviously that's kind of like angled as a bit more of a darker topic on this record to an extent.
Mhm.
Would you say that that's generally a context in which you thrive and you're kind of thinking your best thoughts, feeling your, being your best
Yes,
self?
yes, yes. I would say that. I would say that. It's no judgment, nobody to answer to or like. It's just me, just me. Yeah.
Is given that it was like the first thing that you said, when others are around and others are just kind of present, is judgment the first thing that kind of comes to your mind in terms of a concern or something that you're just worried about happening?
I think it's just trying to make people understand me. Like I don't like explaining myself. Like I said, I make my art and then it's like, here you go, and you take what you take from it. Like I never want to force it, like, oh, you should feel this and this is what you're supposed to get. Like it, no, because then that'll be forcing my feelings onto you, like we're all human. We are allowed to feel how we want to feel.
Just in day-to-day life and situations, do you often feel put on the spot or put in a position where you have to kind of explain why are you doing this, why are you doing that, why are you wearing this,
Yes.
why
And why does it have to be why? It's just in my nature to be who I am and to do the things that I do.
speaking of things that obviously you plug into and you get a lot out of, you wouldn't be where you are today if you weren't a fan of music, passionate about music. It
Yeah.
has kind of music turning into your career, your job changed your association with it over the years in terms of, I imagine for multiple times in your life, much earlier on, it was, probably a pretty important outlet for you.
No, music is still my first love, and that's why I'm still here today. That's my first love. It's my everything. Without music, I don't think like like sometimes I can't like express how I feel to my friends, so I'll just send them a song of like how like exactly how I feel, and then I'm like, okay, look, I don't know how to tell you this, but here's the perfect song, and then if you listen to this and you capture this mood, this is what I've been trying to say. So
And,
music is everything.
where sort of tier wise for you, because obviously with a larger audience, major label backing, so on and so forth, it's kind of allowed you to dive deeper into, fashion, visual arts, that sort of thing. Like, how do you feel like those things are going to kind of balance going forward for you personally as an artist? Because obviously I think those have kind of like grown in terms of, the amount of time that they may be taking and the amount of, I guess, sort of, what we see is like, your greater artistic vision, obviously like what we see of you visually, especially with like, the black and white color palettes of like the, new cover and the new videos and everything. Like you've really kind of like, conceptualized not just this album emotionally and sonically, but like you want to have kind of like a certain visual consistency to everything that you're doing. So people kind of see it as a part of this overall package. How much, of, I guess, your efforts do you see, going into that sort of thing going forward as well?
I think it all stems from my core, who I am as a person, as an artist. So yeah, I think it's always going to be exactly what it is. But as I continue to grow, um, I think I'm just gonna like I'm never ever really satisfied. Like all the way. Like I'm like, I'm so like critical of myself and the things that I do. So like each time I do something, it's going to be larger and larger and go bigger and bigger. Like on a just scaling up always. That's always the goal.
Trying to, I guess, like, maybe go to a slightly more lighthearted place really quickly. Like one thing that I've always associated with your music, with your visuals, the way you present yourself as well. I'm still thinking of in my head to this day, like that Levi's outfit that you showed up with, where you had like the giant fucking tags, like on the
No, it's
jacket
crazy.
and on the pants.
A lot of people have that outfit. Yachty has it. Reese has it.
But like,
Like,
it's, I don't know. It's like, I feel like I haven't seen them in it. I just feel like that outfit is so specifically you. Like to me, that screams you.
no,
And
no, it's crazy. Like I get a lot of credit for things, and I'm like, and I'll be honest, like, bro, like I seen Yachty with it, and then I hit Tremaine up from Denim Tears. I'm like, yo, I need that, and he sent it to me, and then I wore it. And that was it.
look, just some people kind of just wear something better. You could like, you know that.
Okay.
You know that.
All right.
You know that. You know
I'll
that.
take the credit. Thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
I guess like what I'm trying to say is like, you know, even in this dark patch that you're presenting with this album, like to me, I don't know, there's always an element of you and the way you're presenting yourself where there's like a bit of, you know, like a humorous angle to it. You know, like again, there's that darkness there that we're talking about, but it sort of seems like
it's
with
dark
you, like
humor. I don't take myself serious. It's dark humor. That's what it is. I just like whatever.
I mean,
You know.
it sort of seems like for you, just like everything kind of goes down better with a joke.
Yes, because I'm so socially awkward. Like that's really the main thing. I'm very socially awkward, and talking to people like it makes me so nervous. So I'll just say anything, and it ends up being funny. Like it's all out of just me being nervous.
And is that something that you find yourself just like kind of regularly employing in everyday life? You're always just like looking to throw a gag out there, just kind of stick to a bit.
Because it's like, why is everybody looking at me? Like, why? Like, I don't know. I don't know, Anthony. Yeah. They say stars don't know they're stars. Like everybody says, you're a star. But I don't feel like a star. I just feel like I'm just a person, you know, like that's, you know, but here I am, right?
Have there ever been times in your life previously, or even recently, where, you know, maybe you kind of gave into the pressure to sort of just kind of feed into people's expectations a bit more, so you're not questioned, so you're not put on the spot? You know, it's like, and if you have done that, did you find that you were able to be in a more relaxing place, or did you find yourself kind of unhappy, or does the idea of doing that kind of generally seem even sadder than maybe the pressure of, you know, having to answer the whys that people throw at you?
Yeah. It's just like, if you're going to play the game, you got to follow the rules in certain aspects of, like, you know, the industry, you know what I mean? And the business. So that's just what it is for me. It's like, I'm just playing the game now. That's all. Yeah. But I'm not taking anything personal. You know, before I think I was just like, oh, why is this? Why is this? And it's like, that's just the way it is. Okay, cool. I'm gonna do my own thing, show up with my packaging, and it's like, it's like on the creative side, I do everything that I want to do. But then when we're stepping into business, it's like, it's so boring, it's so fake, and we got to have these small talk conversations. It's like, let's just loosen up and have fun. Like, why does everything have to be so, you know, just, I don't know. Yeah, I don't really take life seriously. Like, we're not getting out alive.
That's a fair point.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, all right. Yeah.
After this record drops, is there anything else that you have kind of immediately coming down the pipe? Or are you sort of like announcing
I
some
can't
tour
tell
dates?
you.
You can't tell
crazy.
us.
I can't tell you. Like, I literally signed an NDA. I can't tell you.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, I guess, you know, it's just around the corner. It's just around the corner. So we're just going to have to see it once it's here then.
Yeah.
You know, again, having heard the record myself, I'm really excited to see how people are going to take it. You know, I think people have had a certain conception of you sort of like emotionally and stuff like that. And when they hear what you're kind of like bringing them into on this record, it's going to be another side of you, you know, that like people are seeing for the first time. And, you know, it's going to be something.
Right. Right.
Well, I appreciate you coming through and just being an open book and just talking about the record. And, you know,
Thank
I know again, this is not the sort of thing that you usually do.
To you, I'm sorry. Yeah. But and this is why, because I just like, I get my brain just goes, "Oop." I'm not saying what I'm supposed to say. And
No, there's okay, time.
so,
There's like there was never a point in this conversation where I feel like you weren't saying what you were supposed to say, and there's no sort of like, I don't know. At
well,
least for me personally, I don't know if there's like 4 or 5 executives looking at you off camera being like, ah.
oh, there's nobody here. It's nobody. Oh, it's blurred out. He has the blurred thing, but no, it's
Yeah.
nobody here. I'm in the room by myself.
Okay, well, again, there's nothing that you were supposed to say that you didn't. So you were supposed to say everything that you felt like saying.
You're really kind, and I really appreciate it.
I appreciate you again coming through because this isn't the sort of thing that you usually do. So
Thank you. I'm trying new things.
that's life. That's one of the
Yes.
greatest joys.
Yes.
The fear that you get from that.
Yes. Scary.
All right.
Thank you so much, Anthony. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Have a good one.